what the hell is going on?
Oh, they're a mess.
Because literally just a week ago, Andrew Berry was like, we're not trading Myles Garrett. He is not available. Now all of a sudden, Myles Garrett saying, is that right?
Yeah.
I think I am available. Joining us now, a man who released Myles Garrett's statement and probably knows a little bit more about the behind-the-scenes, senior NFL insider for ESPN, Michigan man, Adam Schefter.
Yeah,
Schefter, you look awesome as the sun hits your face in no weird little place. You look awesome. Thank you for joining us. Massive morning here. We thought the trade between Luka, AD, and then Utah getting sprinkled in there would be the biggest conversation. It certainly still is, but Myles Garrett, perennial All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year candidate every single year, wanting to be traded with 2 non-guaranteed years left on his contract, just 1 week removed from the general manager saying they aren't listening to any trade offers for him. How did we get here? And is he only going to contenders, or is he going to other buildings that have money and potentially a better vision than Cleveland Browns?
If he's going, again, because we have a team here in the Cleveland Browns. I know we get swept up in the moment. We've got this Defensive Player of the Year requesting a trade out of Cleveland, and this is not a surprise to the Browns. The Browns knew about his unhappiness. I think they've asked around, they've prepared for it, they've gotten some opinions about how to best handle this situation, knowing that it could be coming, and I think that they are dug in and entrenched in their stance that they're not going to trade Myles Garrett, that's not the kind of player you move on from. You're talking about arguably the best defensive player in the league, 29 years old. That's a player that helps you win a Super Bowl, and that's what the Browns want to try to do. So, again, we can continue to talk about this, and we will, because it's certainly interesting. But we also have one side here in the Cleveland Browns that doesn't want to trade Myles Garrett and says it won't trade Myles Garrett. And the GM, Andrew Berry, even has told reporters that he doesn't care if he's offered 2 number ones, he's not trading Myles Garrett. Now, what we have, what changes the equation some potentially, is we've got Myles Garrett now going public with the statement and the idea that he does want out of Cleveland. He wants to play on a team where he believes he's got a chance to win a Super Bowl, which obviously he doesn't feel like is the case in Cleveland. So the Browns, if they trade him, there's acceleration on his contract to the tune of about $35 or so million. They're already over the cap. To trade him becomes financially difficult and challenging. Not saying that they can't do it, but it's hard. So I think the whole situation here, Pat, is honestly, in my mind, how dug in is Myles Garrett? How miserable is he prepared to try to make life for the Cleveland Browns? Is he willing to sit no matter what when they go to training camp? If they haven't traded him by then, is he continually going to issue statements saying how unhappy he is and how much he wants to? Does he make it such that he forces them to trade him, or do they acquiesce to his wishes and listen to him when that's not what they want to do? And they've been perfectly clear about that.
Okay, so in your eyes, if you had to project right now, and I know we literally just learned of Myles Garrett taking this thing public, but these situations have certainly happened before in the NFL, certainly during your time of covering the NFL. When the season starts, you think Myles Garrett has a new deal with some guaranteed money? You think this is business-wise? Do you think he's a Cleveland Brown, or do you think he's going to be gone? Because once somebody goes public, what is that? That's just putting massive pressure on Andrew Berry to see if he's really about it?
Okay, but you know what? Deebo Samuel issued a trade request to the 49ers 2 years ago. He's still there. Brandon Ayuk issued a trade request to the 49ers last year. He's still there. So when you issue a trade request in the NFL, it's not final that you're being traded. There are still many steps to go through. And again, the Browns have been very public in the idea that they're not moving on from Myles Garrett. They're not trading him, which is why I come back to the point is how difficult is Myles Garrett willing to make life for them?
Yeah.
Is he going to make it such that they have to trade him? If you're the Browns, you go to Myles Garrett now. You say, Myles, I know you want to be out, but we want to make you the highest paid defensive player in football. You feel any better? No. I don't. I still want to. Oh, you still want to? Okay, we want to make you the highest paid defensive player, and we want your input on what we should do at quarterback now and what you think are some guys that you think could help the team. You feel better now? No? Okay, like what can you do to make him feel better? Usually when a player hears that he's the highest paid something player in NFL history, I'm not telling you that will happen. I don't know how Myles feels, but sometimes that makes a player feel better and change his mind.
Got it, especially with 2 non-guaranteed money years left for somebody his caliber. Obviously, this is potentially a business play by Myles to kind of put some public pressure on the Browns to make it happen. But let's say trade does take place. D-Butch has a question for you.
Yeah, and this, I know you mentioned Ayuk and Debo, but this is, number 1 pick, premier guy at a very, very elite position. But so let's say it does get to that point. What would the compensation be for Myles Garrett, you think? And can you recall a pass rusher of this caliber moving at this point in his career?
Khalil Mack would be the closest comparison that would be out there right now, because when Khalil Mack requested a trade, it was not altogether dissimilar to Myles Garrett. There were teams salivating at the idea of trading for Mack when he was playing with the Raiders. And I posted the compensation before, earlier this morning. Let me just call it up exactly to give you an idea. But the trade comp on Khalil Mack was he was traded from Oakland to Chicago. The Bears gave up 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a 6th-round pick for Mack, a 2, and a conditional 5. So 2 1s, a 3, a 6, for Mack, a 2, and a 5. Jeez. Now, that went on for a while. I don't know that the Raiders maximized the return. Mack refused to budge. Mack was 27 at the time. Myles Garrett's 29. Again, that's the best comp, I think, that's out there right now. Myles Garrett is an elite player. Again, you can make the argument he's the best defensive player in the league very easily. So I think that the return is probably along those lines. But again, we have the Browns GM, Andrew Berry, on record saying that he wouldn't even consider 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, which, by the way, would be my stance as well if I were the GM. I would say I wouldn't consider 3 ones for the guy. That's what I would say. Now, what I would wind up taking would be a different deal. So it's just a question of gamesmanship. Now, again, is this a business play by Myles Garrett? I don't think so. I think he legitimately wants to be in a place where he feels like he's going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl. But again, is there anything that could get him off that changes his mind?
So last question from me, and obviously we're all learning about this as we go. So that means he's only going to teams that are contenders? Is that what we're hearing? Or
that's what, in his ideal world, that's what he's doing.
Okay.
Now, again, what if they said, we're trading you, I'm making this up, to Chicago. Is Chicago a Super Bowl contender right now? But what if Chicago, he feels like I think the best way of saying it, he wants to go to what he believes is a Super Bowl contender. But I think as we talk about this, I think that would be a place that he believes gives him more hope to win a Super Bowl championship than the Browns do. And there are probably multiple NFL franchises that would fall into that category, because I think if you had to consider it, 31 teams probably would be interested in trading for Myles Garrett.
That's what because we went through the salary cap and what the projected amount of money is. And obviously you look at a lot of these teams and it's like, well, the Patriots would obviously benefit from having Myles Garrett. Yeah. Vrabel was in Cleveland this past year. They have the money to do it. But would Myles be like, yep, you know what? I'm going up to New England because I believe they could potentially be a Super Bowl contender. Then you just go down the line there of all the people that have, like, does he think the Chargers are potentially a Super Bowl contender, even though they haven't really been able to get close to the dance in some time? Does he believe Harbaugh changes things? Chicago, it's like, does he think Ben Johnson will be able to get them to a Super Bowl? It's like, is it his projected contender or the actual contenders? Like, is he thinking about going to Baltimore that only has $8.9 million? They can't even really seemingly afford them, or the Chiefs, or going to Detroit, or going to the Packers maybe, who had a chance to go to run. Like, what does he mean? I think we just kind of wait and see, I guess, Schefter.
Well, I think, first of all, a few things to keep in mind. I don't think there's any way or chance in hell that the Browns ever would consider trading him in the division. So you could knock out those teams. And by the way, they said they're not trading him at all. They're certainly not trading him in the division. I would think that if they're trading him, they certainly wouldn't want to trade him in conference. And again, they say they don't want to trade him. And Myles Garrett would have the ability, because any team would have to give up a haul, and any team that trades for him obviously would want to have him under contract. So he would have some say there. because let's just say it was New England. Let's say he doesn't like that area. He doesn't believe in the team. He doesn't like whatever it is. He could say, I'm not going there. Sorry, Connor. I'm not trying to pick any. I'm just giving you an
No. We've been talking about that all morning, but it's like Minnesota, Detroit, Packers, all those.
It's what he believes. It's what he feels. It's what he feels. And any team that would give up what it would be required to acquire him. And again, this is even considering the idea that the Browns would be willing to trade him, which they haven't been. But if they were, then it would have to be to a team that is going to give up so much, and they're not going to give up that much without having him under contract or him being unhappy about being traded. So he's going to have to sign off on the trade, even though he doesn't have a no trade request. So he's going to basically be able to dictate it. That's if Cleveland ever gets to the spot where it moves off its current stance of we're not trading him. So there's a lot of things that have to happen before we get there, just to give you an idea of where this is at.
All right, well, good luck to all parties.
Yep.
Good luck to all parties. There's a lot of NFC teams, though, that are doing a little dance thinking they can Myles Garrett. Green Bay Packers, you'd give up 2 1s,
Yes.
a third,
Yes.
and pay him
Yes.
to get him on the squad?
Yes.
Vikings probably do the same. They don't even have a quarterback yet, but if you get another game wrecker on the defensive side, Lions, they lose Aiden Hutchinson, still able to win, but in the end, not able to get to where they want to go. Why not continue to build depth?
Anything they want, they can have it.
And then with the Niners, the Niners adding Myles Garrett to that defense after a disappointing year, and now granted Christian McCaffrey didn't play. There's
him and Bosa.
A lot of NFC teams that would be like, all right, let's go and get it. Hopefully Andrew Berry is able to figure it out. Let's talk about some other news that happened around the NFL. If you have time, we appreciate you making some here on this glorious day. Chip Kelly's back in the NFL. He's getting paid $6 million to be the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Ohio State Buckeyes lose both of their coordinators. Jim Knowles goes to Penn State on a $3.1 million deal, allegedly, to Penn State. Ohio State was not able to match or didn't come close. Chip Kelly now going to the Raiders on a $6 million deal, allegedly, per year. That's via Albert Breer. Allegedly, in a conversation, new ownership said, hey, no stone unturned. Anything you need to be able to put a staff together, you could do that. Chip and Pete, do they have history? And how much did we expect Chip Kelly to come back to the NFL before this hiring cycle, Schefty?
Well, I think he wanted to get back to the NFL, and the Raiders made a lot of inquiries and did a lot of background checks to see this is what they were trying to do. Again, I think everybody would agree on Chip's offensive prowess and brilliance. And so they were trying to see, okay, is there a reason that we should move in that direction? Is there another candidate that's more qualified? They were looking at some other people as well. But ultimately, the recommendations on Chip's offensive mind came back in such a way that they felt like this was the move to make. And look, they're at a disadvantage in that division with those coaches and those quarterbacks in the AFC West. It's loaded. Pete comes in with energy and enthusiasm and passion and a defensive expertise. So they need somebody to really run that offense. And Chip Kelly certainly is more than capable of doing that. They identified him. And this is where the new money and the limited owners that the Raiders have come into play, because Mark Davis got an infusion of money from the limited owners that included Tom Brady. And they now can go out and spend that money on guys like Chip Kelly. There's no salary cap for coaches. You're capped off on what you can and can't spend on players, but there's no cap on coaches. So if you want to go pay Chip Kelly $6 million a year to bring him in to Las Vegas, you can go do that. And having cash is a big deal. And the Raiders clearly have some cash that they can throw around to coaches and that they're going to be able to use in the form of guaranteed money and signing bonuses to upcoming free agents. So that's going to be something that I think the Raiders lean into as they try to make up ground on the rest of the teams in the AFC West and in that conference.
And that's no cap, brother, especially on the coaching staff. This is why we talk about the Denver Broncos being such a promising position for whoever's going to go coach there, because the Waltons, the Walmart family, they got it. So they can pay the coaches more than other places. You can keep people around. Raiders getting into that game is kind of crazy. Chip Kelly going to Vegas. Say it, Connor.
Look,
Why not Will Howard going with him, too?
Whoa!
That's where they won the Natty together, you know?
Need a quarterback, knows the offense,
Yep.
understands Chip Kelly very well. Chip Kelly, beloved by the Ohio State players. Jeremiah Smith, number one wide receiver on earth, said no with a heartbreak.
Oh,
with a heartbreak in there. So who knows how Ohio State looks going forward? We shall see. All right, let's pivot away.
Well, he's going to have certain knowledge on those guys that other people don't. He's going to have worked with all of them. And we also go back to his time in Philadelphia. Remember how much everybody wanted the Eagles and Chip Kelly to trade up to get Marcus Mariota, who's going to be a free agent this offseason. So Marcus Mariota, I think maybe that's going to be an option. But I'll tell you where else Marcus Mariota is going to be an option. In Miami with Tua, his good friend Tua. He'll be an option there. So there could be a little bit of interest in Marcus Mariota between the Miami Dolphins and Chip Kelly and the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's a great spot for Marcus because he's got 2 no-tax states.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to have some interesting choices this offseason.
You should go to Vegas, I think.
Some ooze juice down there in Miami, maybe. I like everything about that. Marcus Mariota, certainly. We got nothing but respect for Marcus Mariota. Appreciate everything he did. We got out to see Oregon. He has an entire hallway dedicated to him for everything he did out there. Certainly, that was like 15 years ago, though. I mean, that was a pretty good amount of time. What Chip Kelly and Will Howard were able to do, especially during his playoff time, biggest time of the year, was nothing short of magical. Now, Pete Carroll goes to Las Vegas. That was one part of the coaching cycle. There is one job still remaining that is available in the NFL. Ty has a question for you, Schefty.
Shefty, where do we stand with the Saints job right now? Obviously, Mike McCarthy pulls his name out. He's going to be looking to the next year's cycle, and everything's kind of leaning towards, hey, this is basically going to be Kellen Moore's job. Has there been any movement on that? Is that the expectation that once the Super Bowl is over, Kellen Moore will become the head coach of the Saints, or what's going on there?
Let's spell this out, Ty, right? This is pretty simple. You and I have talked about this before. We did it this morning. We could stop the charade. What's going on here is that the New Orleans Saints wisely are going to be doing everything by the book, as they should be, because the last time hold on, let me rephrase that. The New Orleans Saints, when it comes to this coaching hire, should be doing everything by the book, right?
Got it.
Let me rephrase that. Okay, I want to make sure we're accurate here.
Yes.
When it comes to this coaching hire, the Saints are going to do everything by the book because the last time the Eagles were in a Super Bowl in the host city was Arizona. The Cardinals, there was evidence found that they tampered with the Eagles defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. The Eagles owner, Jeffrey Lurie, not happy. He pressed the issue, and draft compensation was awarded to the Eagles on draft night. So the league sided with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jeffrey Lurie knows what it's like. The Saints have been in the crosshairs with the NFL before, not the first time. And so the head of the Saints organization, Mickey Loomis, is going to do everything in his power when it comes to this coaching hire to follow the rules and go by the book and not talk to Kellen Moore until after the Super Bowl. Could it break down and they not reach an agreement? Sure. Is that likely? No. Kellen Moore is going to have a chance to probably triple his salary, become a head coach, one of 32. And if the Saints were making any other move, whether it was hiring the Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, or the Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, or their own interim head coach Darren, what are they waiting for? Why not go hire them right now? But they're not. They're waiting. And they're waiting to talk to Kellen Moore, and they're waiting to make sure that they give the Eagles absolutely zero evidence that they've tampered with the guy until after the game. But the fact that they don't have a coach tells you everything you need to know about where this is going. Of course, barring a setback, he's going to be the guy. Could there be a setback? Sure. There often are setbacks. Bill Belichick didn't wind up becoming the head coach of the Jets. Josh McDaniels didn't wind up becoming the head coach of the Colts. Liam Cohen didn't wind up becoming the coordinator of the Buccaneers. But barring any setbacks, we know where this is tracking, and we know where this is going. Let's not be oblivious to it.
Okay, congrats, Kelly Moe, if you end up becoming the head coach. And the Josh McDaniels, Jim Irsay dumping party could have been settled with some Dove Men Care whole body. Did you ever get any confirmation on that story?
What story?
Well, allegedly, now we've obviously covered this pretty in depth because we are Colts fans here. Allegedly, whenever Jim Irsay went to the McDaniel's house, there was a massive dump that took place potentially. That was a little bit off-putting.
Yep.
And that is inevitably why Josh decided to turn the plane around, because at the very end was like, we're going to be living with this dumper all day?
No weirdo.
Let's get out of here, and goes back to New England. Do you know if that was the reason, or?
I can't jump on that story. I don't know what the actual
Wow,
truth
that's
is.
pretty good. That's
bad.
And by the way, if you have any friends that smell like ass, Schefter, which I assume you do in the journalism world, let them know that whole body DO from Dove Men Care can take care of it all. Can take care of your pits, can take care of your taint, can take care of your toes. Anything that smells, whole body DO can get rid of your BO. And these bottles last forever.
Since when do we have a sponsor for this segment? I didn't know about this.
It's not because of you, brother. It's not because of you, brother. Don't you worry about that. They're not saying you smell like shit. They're not saying you smell like shit. Okay, let's continue to move to other talking points around the NFL. Speaking of shit, Michael Cole, massive New York Jets fan, has a question for you.
Adam, what are we doing about quarterback? Is Rodgers coming back? What's happening?
New York Jets fan, obviously. He's talking about the Jets situation. Aaron Rodgers still open to anything, attached to nothing. Aaron Glenn, new head coach.
Aaron
Bougie is the
Darren
new
Muji,
GM.
yep. Darren Muji, yep.
You want Aaron Rodgers back, or you just want them to do whatever's good for the team?
I think we have to bring Rodgers back if he wants to come. We don't have any quarterbacks. And you try to draft somebody and learn under Aaron and move on from there. That's my thought, but I'm not sure.
What is yours, Shefty?
I think that Aaron Glenn and Aaron Rodgers have to sit down, and number one, Aaron Rodgers first and foremost has to decide whether or not he wants to play, whether or not he wants to play in New York, whether or not he's committed to going through all this again. And if and when that's the case, then Aaron Glenn's going to have Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji have a decision to make about what they want to do with their franchise. From a talent standpoint, there's probably not a better option out there than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the guy still has it, and he still can play. The question is, what do they want to do as they're rebuilding their organization? Is that a long-term play? Do they feel like there is a better fit for the organization to grow with? And those are questions I think that both sides have to answer with the input from one another as they sit down and talk about this issue moving forward.
Okay, Shefty, you'll be on top of it. We will try to as well. Have not talked to Aaron, trying to give him his space like we always do after the season. Well, I mean, the way he finished that season, there's no way he's walking away.
No.
He played well.
No chance.
There's no way he's just, you know what? Yeah, I'm done. Especially with how the season went and all the shit that was talked. Just doesn't feel like an Aaron Rodgers move to walk away now. But once again, who knows?
No chance. Finish the season healthy. Play well. Obviously, team success wasn't there. You would think he would want to go out on better terms than that for sure.
And also for him, I mean, the timing with the quarterback situation,
kind of perfect,
both coming out of the draft and in the free agent world. To your point, and to his point, there really isn't, like, he's already there. He knows the building. You get a young guy in there, can maybe learn under. It's like feels like the stars are aligning for this to happen.
And let's not forget, the Jets still have a ton of talent. I mean, they were so poorly coached last year. They have a ton of talent. They do.
True.
They going to win it all next year?
No, not at all. Never in my lifetime. I've said I'll never.
So what does it matter?
I said I'll never go to a Super Bowl until the Jets are there. So I guess I'm never going to attend a Super Bowl.
Oh, come on. You don't ever know that. You never know that. You have no idea what's going to happen next year. There's been a lot of teams that have been asked that have been able to flip it around. Just one different energy in a building can change everything. And Woody Johnson said, I sucked as an owner. I gotta own that. I don't think it was those exact words, but he said, maybe I haven't been the greatest owner. I need to own that. So maybe things will turn around. And young Brick Johnson, another year of experience.
Exactly.
He's going to be able to buy scratch-offs next year whenever he's going in there. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows what he's going to do?
Love it. We'll see.
You are the most pessimistic Jets fan of all time.
Yep.
As soon as Aaron gets there, he goes. Shefty.
Boy, that's quite a statement. The most pessimistic Jets fan of all.
Yeah.
That is quite a distinction because there are a lot of them out there.
No questions asked. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but as soon as Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, he goes, why? Why'd he do that? His career's over. That was his first response. Not like, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl now, like how I was feeling. Like, man, the talent, the energy. He wins, he's going to have a parade right down the middle of New York City. I mean, it's going to be great. And Cole's like, why is he doing that? Why is he coming to our team? Why, he's going to ruin everything. It's like, no, he's coming to help everything. He's like, nope, that ain't how it's going to go. And then 4 plays in, this guy's like, I told you we were going to ruin it. I didn't want to ruin it. It's, I think Jets fans have to feel that way.
Always.
The jaded Jets are the way it is until it changes, and hopefully they'll be able to change. Speaking of change, is there more change coming? Connor has a question for you, Schefter.
Yeah, Schefter, another Bills loss in the playoffs leads to another possible rule change. Obviously, we tried with the Hawkeye technology earlier, I believe in the preseason, and some a little bit last year with the first down marking, and it took forever, and so it didn't get carried into this regular season. But again, now the NFL is reportedly considering using electronics for the 2025 season. Is there a new development in the technology? Is there some other strategy they're going to try to use? And at what point are we just going to use the microchip that's already in the football?
Well, what I would say is, first of all, Roger Goodell is scheduled to have his annual State of the Union this afternoon, and I'd be very surprised if this wasn't one of the questions that came up during the press conference. I'm sure somebody, maybe from Buffalo, is going to ask him that question about whether or not the league has made advancements with the chip in the football. They've experimented with this before. I would imagine if they have the technology, they're going to move forward in a direction where they can lean on it. They're looking for any way to improve these kinds of things. And the chain gang is something that was operating seemingly 100 years ago. If there was a chip in a football that could give you a better reading, then that would be great. But I still think there are issues with that the league is trying to get through. There's no surefire solution. Even if there were a chip in the football, it doesn't ensure that football would have been properly marked, whether it was or wasn't a first down in the AFC Championship game. But the league absolutely has been looking at this. It would love for the technology to be developed. It would love to be able to use it. If it makes sense, it certainly will.
So, and I saw a lot of people talking about how tennis has Hawkeye and everything. They tried it. The NFL tried Hawkeye during preseason, and it was terrible.
So bad.
It was like a 4 or 5 minute wait, and then nothing. It was very bad. I don't know how the technology doesn't exist, or the NFL and the right partner hasn't got in there. You got to remember, it has to be 100%. You know, this tech has to be 100%. Very rarely is technology 100%. That is like a very big flaw of tech. Can operate high, but then every once in a while there'll be a flub. If we rely on this tech, which I'm in for it, believe me. I've been calling for the chain gang's head for years now at this point, because I'm about tired of seeing 85-year-old whites trot out there with this thing, and that's the authority on whether or not somebody gets another set of downs or not. But it's like the tech, if that thing flubs any bit, then now all of a sudden the tech is in to screw. I mean, it's something they got to get right. And I'm not sure they've been able to find the right thing. Hopefully the right tech partner comes around, because in 2025, with all the shit we're capable of doing, you would assume we'd be able to know where the hell a football is on a football field that is being tracked at all times.
Well, and even with the tennis, like John McEnroe told you, like, hey, tennis people don't even believe that the
tennis players,
don't believe that is 100% accurate. So if it were to be a situation like that where it would flub and the Chiefs get the ball either way, then it's just all.
Oh, now this is
that's even more so.
This is a systemic issue now, coming from the tech to the entire thing. So I understand why the NFL has tried to be like, we're trying, but we need something that is 100% right, because if that's not right, now you're talking about an even bigger controversy and conspiracy that starts cooking out of it all.
Well, and I read that the chip in the football is in the middle of the football too, so like that's why they can't use it, because like it's gonna, if like the tip of the football gives them a first down, the chip's gonna read like, oh, that was still a couple inches behind.
What's that called? Not a radius. A radius is from the center to the outside.
Yeah.
You would assume the radius would be similar in every football, so you'd be able to do the math. But nonetheless, all you need is that chip to glitch one time, and all of a sudden you have a bigger conspiracy than ever before. Schefter, we'll see you down in New Orleans. We appreciate the hell out of you, buddy.
Safe travels down here, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great Monday.
You're the man. Hey, this has been pretty good. We saw the sun move, We saw the sun move off your face into the sky a little bit.
That's the NOLA sun, the NOLA daylight hours, wherever it is. Yeah, it's gotten cloudy here since I first came on the show here.
We're supposed to be mid-70s all week. We cannot wait to get down.
Oh, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Schefter. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
64 today in Indiana, 31 tomorrow. So we're in the middle of that whole thing. And that rat bastard out of Punxsutawney, I'm sick of seeing him. I'm from Pennsylvania, okay? So I understand Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, beautiful place, great tradition, all that, good celebration. I think they party pretty good there. Would like to be a part of it. I'm about tired of that little weasel piece of trash. I'm about sick of it. Remember in 2020 when the world was going bad?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was was living a terrible life. All we needed was that little piece of vermin to come out and say, you know what, sun's going to come out. Instead, went back in there, piled on top of us. It was at that moment, I'm not going to let this little piece of shit decide whether or not I'm happy or the sun's coming.
I agree, although I do have a little bit more of a soft spot for him because I think I saw that this is his first Groundhog's Day as a father. So
yeah, I knew he wasn't paying attention enough.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Need him dead. Some more weeks.
This thing too busy boning as opposed to reading the damn Doppler. I need punks. When was the last time he said spring was coming?